Listen up, all fight fans and fitness junkies. You've been listening to me talk about Jocko Fuel for a while now, and if you've been waiting, the wait is over. This August, you can score a massive 30% off on all of Jocko Fuel's top-tier supplements. That's right, 30% off. Jocko Fuel is loaded with all of the good stuff and none of the bad. We're talking no added sugar, no artificial sweeteners, and absolutely no gray area or banned substances. Just pure, clean fuel to power your performances. And guys, I really want you to try some of my favorites like Jocko Go and Jocko Hydrate. This deal is only going to be available for the month of August. So use code Chael30 or go to JockoFuel.com. Don't wait. Fuel up with Jocko Fuel and crush your goals. Guys, click on the link below to make it happen. Conor McGregor is being persecuted. You gotta free the Mac. We need public support. This isn't right. This is an injustice. Free the Mac. I love it. It's very catchy. It's very anti-Conor. And Conor has only ever feinted one thing. He had everything. He had every crazy idea. He had all them stupid cars he claimed were his, really were. Spending way too much on a watch. Like, all of this stuff was real. The only thing he claimed to have that he didn't was power. And it was one of the most important ingredients in the McGregor character. But I have enjoyed watching him reveal that he does not have power. I haven't enjoyed it. It hasn't weakened him. It has in some ways made him appear vulnerable, which there is nothing, at least in America. Like, I don't know where you are watching this. In America, there is nothing, not the millionaire, the billionaire, not the astronaut, not the teacher, the lawyer, the fireman. Nothing is more powerful in this country than a victim. If you can become a victim, you can be elected to the highest offices. You will be raised up. You will be released from handcuffs. We will no longer ask you, as the gold standard of reality, what happened. We'll just ask you, how did it make you feel? So, I'm just sharing, I like Free the Mac. I like Conor hosting on Instagram, okay? A beautiful, beautiful setting. He is in the back deck of a very large home with a view, and I should mention it's a covered patio. Like, it's kind of hard to say you're on the back deck or that you're outside if you have a roof over you. Like that's almost the definition of, are you homeless or not? Do you have a roof over you? So he's actually outdoor with a roof and a heavy bag and a special set of equipment, and he's alone. He's not in a stinky, dirty, filthy gym where these things take place. Dirty and grimy and all the things that you would think that you need and all the hardships and sacrifices. He's in none of those things. Yet, Free the Mac. See, he's being persecuted. There's an injustice. There's an injustice taking place, and he needs your help. That is what is so wonderful about this. That, as an artist, is what made this piece so creative. He's presenting to you as that I am going at this alone. There is no one else in this video. It's just me. But I need you. I'm a regular man, and I'm coming to other regular men. I need you. I need your help. As opposed to, I am on vacation in an exclusive area that nobody else could afford to come, which is why I have the solitude of being here by myself, right? Like, it was just great. The whole thing was great. Hashtag Free the Mac. Now, I am not closing my ideas to the idea that McGregor will, in fact, be on the December card. So, that's still open. And I can tell you they would like him on the January card in California, but now we're arguing about a month. Right? Like, it sounds like we're pretty close to coming together at this point. We want you one state over 1 month later. You would like to do it in this calendar year. Like, we're getting close. Not to mention no other main event has been announced. Not to mention no other main event has been speculated. And you will have a couple of breaths before you get there, but not many. Not many. By the time O'Malley and Merab hit the ring at the Sphere, you are far more likely than not to have an announcement for December's UFC. That will be the UFC's next time returning to that city. But it's a different market because it's a destination town as opposed to going to local. So some of these marketing rules don't have to apply. I would just bet for you that they will. So Conor does have a little bit of time. And I think he's sincere. Now, when I watched him hit the heavy bag, I've got to tell you, he moves in a beautiful fashion. And that is not a word that I use very often. And it's not a word that anybody can use very often to describe somebody's fighting style. I mean, to describe something that is designed first and foremost for damage. It's very hard to call that beautiful, but his body athletically does move in a very unique manner. And when he slows things down, like there's some real things you can learn about the fundamentals, as unorthodox as Conor may be. Well, you may not be able to do it just like McGregor, but when he slows things down, he will set his body. And if you understand what you're looking, you'll see where he's loaded, where all the power is. You know what the next shot is going to be, because he will set the body, he will shift, he will rotate, he'll get everything lined up before he goes into his next attack. It's just a fun thing to watch. I enjoy watching Conor. And my body doesn't move like that. It's unique. I like when he works out of a southpaw. I noticed that he had an emphasis on elbows and the power he has from that as opposed to leg kicks. I don't know if there's a tie-in or if that was just the clip that I saw. But I've seen 2 or 3 other clips as well, and I haven't seen a huge emphasis on the leg kick, which I think we could all understand. But it is the biggest question of the fight. The question is not, can he beat Michael Chandler? What difference does it make? He didn't beat the last guy. What difference does it make? They're not even fighting a weight class. The whole question on this fight is, can Conor, is he special enough? Is he driven and disciplined and hungry enough to return after such a catastrophic injury? That is the story of this fight. And it is a very big story. It is a very big deal. I got to tell you, I am rooting for him fully in that regard. I hope he gets to that ring very healthy. I hope that his life moves on. But that's a tough spot. That is the worst injury that I've ever seen. Now, it's not worse than Weidman's. It's not worse than Hill's. It's not worse than Anderson's, but it's equal. That's the worst injury I've ever seen. It happens that I've seen it 4 times, but it's the same injury. It's terrible. Conor couldn't go 5 rounds back when he could train all of the time. How are you possibly going to go 5 rounds? You have the most undisciplined guy in the sport taking on maybe the most disciplined guy in the sport. How could you possibly breathe for 5 rounds? How? Just logically speaking, you couldn't do it at 155, where it is much easier to do than at 170, for obvious reasons. And you could train whenever you wanted. It was a choice. Now it wasn't even a choice. It's not even a question. Could not train for a meaningful amount of time. Now, I'm not putting Conor down in this spot. I'm saying this is what he's up against, and a lot of people aren't understanding that. We are so quick to treat Conor as though he's not a human, like we forget that, right? He has made such a supernatural presence and character. But that is a guy. His bones aren't any different than yours. In his mental preparation and knowing full well the boxes he has to check, and knowing full well if I don't check them, it's not going to go well, but I will walk out there and try anyway, because if I land that left hand, I'm never going to have to get to those championship rounds. Now, that isn't much to bank on, and that takes a very special amount of courage and character to go through with it. Now, he got confronted with this test on June 29th, and it was too much. It was too much. I can deal with all of those things, but I got a discolored toe. It's too much. But I think he will pass the test next time. And as I'm watching him and I'm watching his movements, and as beautiful as they are, they're also as slow as molasses going uphill. So I don't know what part of the process this was. If he was the cameraman, just by example, let's say D wasn't there, he's on vacation, he's got to be the cameraman. So that involves him setting up the camera. Well, now you can't have gloves on. That would make a level of sense. I would have no problem with that. I can't get a whole lot from a heavy bag on a back deck on vacation. I understand that. But rule number 1 is you protect your tools. Literally, rule number 1. You don't do anything. You don't step onto the mat. You don't go out there and bow if you're at a traditional gym. You don't do anything until you wrap your hands. And he was hitting a bag with hands unwrapped. So I'm just sharing. There are questions to that. Clayton Hires would have never let me on the mat, but I could have done it if I was at a private house, it was in my own heavy bag, and Clayton wasn't there. but those don't speak to the things needed to be prepared to deal with Michael Chandler. So how much do you want to get out of a little clip? Well, that's what I'm going to get out of it. And you may tell me, and he may tell me, that's very unfair. Well, I'm like an accountant. I'm as good as the information that I'm being given. I didn't question the discolored pinky toe, which may or may not be broken and may or may not belong to you. I didn't question it because this is the information I was given. But now I'm given that there's a vacation home with a heavy bag in the back, a couple of dumbbells on the side, nobody there to film, which means you're alone, and nobody gets any better by themselves. Oh, and by the way, we remember the tight shorts, and we remember to fight from a southpaw stance in extremely slow motion, but we forgot to bring our gloves.